Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have a friend of mine here whose name is Dario, and Dario is a local investor here in the DMV area with me. So, welcome to the show, Dario.
Hey, thanks for having me, Samir. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, dude, thank you. So let's kind of dive right in. Like, tell us who is Dario? Where do you come from? What do you kind of do? Um, yeah, just for everyone who's listening.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I was born and raised in Virginia. I've lived here my whole life, or I guess not my whole life because I'm still alive, but uh, my parents are immigrated here from Mexico. So you know, I that's where my descendants is from. My parents are from Mexico, and yeah, so just first generation here.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you kind of grew up in this like Northern Virginia area. Investing. How did investing start, right? Like, did you have a family who invested, or how did that kind of go off for you or start for you?
Well, actually, really, I think real estate for me was kind of just not a topic I even wanted to get into. My dad would tell me about it, but growing up, I remember my dad bought a house when the '07, '08 thing happened, and he just came home one day and he was like, "Hey, we're moving. Uh, pack your stuff." My mom was like, "Are you serious?" And so we all moved, and so then the house where I grew up in turned into a rental. But I was always going there with my dad, just like cleaning up after tenants and like, you know, just it was not a good experience, I guess. So like as a teenager, I was just there, didn't really enjoy the whole landlording thing. So uh yeah, it just didn't interest me. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's tough to go through, and for anyone that went through that '08, '09 crash, and a lot of people were impacted. So it's one of those things that lessons learned, or maybe made you better off, like for seeing how it went down. Maybe at the time it wasn't as fun to go through, but reflecting back, I mean, I'm sure that has an impact on the way you do things, and the way you look at money, how you invest now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a good move on my dad's part to uh make that move. However, I did learn how to not be a landlord as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, for everyone who doesn't know, Dario, I know you're not full time into real estate just yet, right? So what do you
Right.
kind of do is in your day job?
So I'm a full-time HVAC technician. I've been doing that for 10 years. Right out of high school, I wanted to be an auto mechanic because I love cars. But my dad was an auto mechanic, and then he switched into the heating and air conditioning field. And that's what he told me. He was like, just skip right into this. You'll be better off. So that's what I did. I went and started for the first company right after I was homeschooled as well. So right after homeschool, uh, I jumped. I mean, probably took like a month off and went into the first company where I started working at. I've stuck with it ever since.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great trade, right? And I don't know. Do you eventually want to go full time into real estate, or do you like holding on to that job?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what I ultimately what I want to achieve is freedom. And being an HVAC technician, for anyone that is in this trade, it's very time consuming. You don't have a lot of control over your time because you're on call and things of that nature. But it is nothing is guaranteed in life. But I mean, there's always going to be broken air conditioners, so you almost have a guaranteed income. And especially in this Northern Virginia area, I've never not had work. So it's a good way to stash some capital to get started in real estate.
I love that. I think that should be a quote. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but air conditioners will break. That's
Yeah, for
a
sure.
that's a Dario
Especially,
quote.
yeah, especially even in your rental properties, which sucks, but I mean, it's the truth.
Right. Exactly, right. So I mean, for going through and not like in landlords and everything like that, to owning real estate, or wanting to own real estate, how's that transition been for you, right? At least in the last few years.
So my dad would always send me stuff from Bigger Pockets, and I knew it was like real estate related, so I'd never click on it. He'd just send me like links in my text message, and my dad would also give me like cutouts from the Washington Post about like economic stuff, and I was just like, I was not interested in that stuff. So yeah, I finally clicked on one of the links he sent me, and it actually just happened to be the one that Foursquare method that Brandon Turner shows, and I clicked on it, and then like it said something about like cash flow, and and then that just led one thing to another, like, and I was just like, well, like, cash flow, like you can make money without working, you know, like obviously it takes work to get cash flow, but then it's just something that continues, and that really sparked my interest. So yeah, I created an account on Bigger Pockets and just started consuming as much content as I could. And then, yeah, it just kind of took off from there.
You know, what's funny is that like that you mentioned the four squares. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I can imagine it in my head right now because I've seen
Yeah.
that video. I've seen, his post on that, and it's such a great way to break it down. So for anyone that hasn't, been to Bigger Pockets or knows about Bigger Pockets, that's an awesome starting place. I personally started there as well, and nothing but good things to say about Bigger Pockets and their podcasts and everything they produce. So definitely check that out. So, from Bigger Pockets to buying or to doing it, right, is a different thing though, right? So tell
Yeah.
us, like, well, how did that first deal look like? What kind of got you to do that first deal?
Um, so I through Bigger Pockets, I realized how important it was to network. So I joined the my local RIA, which is Fred RIA here in Fredericksburg, and I understood pretty much everything that was being talked about, but I hadn't put anything to practice. So just repeatedly coming to these meetings, I realized like, man, I gotta jump in, but I was just I had a lot of fear. I was scared, we're in a single income household, a wife and three kids, so like I have a lot on my shoulders, a lot, so I have to be careful with the decisions I make. So in doing so, I just kept on networking and taking wisdom from other more seasoned investors, talking to others. And for me, a turnkey property fit my comfort zone, so to speak. And actually, I spoke with you, and you told me about your experience with REI Nation. And so I got in contact with them. I had saved up the down payment that I needed for the price range I was looking for, and I pulled the trigger on a property in Memphis, Tennessee, and single family residence. And yeah, it's been great. That was pretty much where I started. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And I think you touched upon an important concept there, right? Is risk, right? Assessing your level of risk. And it's different for everyone, right? Your comfort level, how aggressive you want to be, right? Those things vary from person to person. So it's going to be different for you versus me or somebody else, right? So turnkey is a great way to get started. And I personally got started that way as well, right? So the company that was talked about there was REI Nation, and nothing but good things to say about them. They've been awesome to work with. We still actually have investment properties with them. And it's just a good way maybe to get started, and for somebody who might not have a ton of experience in real estate prior, right? So they basically do a whole top-down model, and they help you buy the property, and they manage it as well for you. So with that, it's still a few challenges of being an out-of-state investor, right? So, I mean, how did you kind of overcome that living in Northern Virginia and investing all the way in Memphis?
I think it was just talking to others, and I realized that the biggest factor that I had to overcome was fear. So I was just like, well, out of state investing is like thing I'm scared of most. So let me start there, and that actually made investing locally even easier for me, because I realized just how passive it can be when the asset is not within your reach, right? It can be a good and a bad thing. But I going back to, like I said, when I was a kid, going out and emptying out rental property with my dad, I do see that there's an advantage to having the property outside of your reach, so that way you operate it more of as a business.
100%. Yeah. And, it's key there to operate it as a business, right? If it's far away and you can't go there every day to go see it and fix things, then you kind of have to have a team, and you have to, structure it correctly. Because I'm guessing you're not going to fly out to Memphis to fix a toilet, right?
No,
Yeah.
I would like to fly out to Memphis just to see it with my own 2 eyes one of these days, though.
Yeah,
I've never
exactly.
seen the property.
And you know what? It's funny. I haven't either. Like, again, I also own in Memphis, and and so I haven't flown out and seen these properties, right? But I own them technically, they're functioning and everything. But maybe we'll make a trip out there one day. So there's another reason to invest in real estate. You get to travel with your friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, someone asked me one time, they're like, so how do you know that you actually own a property out there if you've never like seen it? I was like, I don't know. All I know is I get those monthly rent checks. So like I'm not getting it from nowhere. There's obviously other paperwork involved and stuff, but I thought it was an interesting question.
It is, right? Because for a lot of people, it's like you want to touch it, feel it, walk it to personally get a feel for the property and see if it's actually, real, if you will, because it's called real estate, right? So,
Yeah.
but out of say investing has its own challenges, but definitely look into it if you're looking to get started, and price points are definitely different in different markets, but none to say like you can do real estate in different areas. So awesome. So you mentioned a key concept there of like overcoming your fear, right? And that's different, and it's powerful because we're all limited in some ways, right? In our limiting beliefs, at least, right? So talk to us about that. Like how did that kind of come? Like what helped you kind of overcome that fear, if you will? And do you still have fears today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still have fears today. Whenever I go walk a property here locally, like I'm still not extremely confident in determining rehab, even though I've worked in the construction field my whole career. It's just something that's a little more. It just seems daunting. You don't want to get something wrong. You don't want to peel back that drywall and find something that you didn't expect. So, but yeah, I think one of the biggest things that's helped me overcome fear or limiting beliefs, right? I used to tell myself like, I'm a blue collar worker. And, I limited myself to that. And so I hesitated to tell others that I was a real estate investor or that I had interest in real estate because I didn't own any property. I'd never done a deal. So, but however, I came to realize that if you're investing your time and your energies and you're really, dedicating yourself to being a real estate investor, well, that makes you a real estate investor. And your first deal is, soon to come. As soon as you are convinced to your own self that you are an investor, you're on your way. And I think just learning from others that have started in similar positions helps a lot too. And talking to other more experienced investors that they're like, they took action later in life, as and so they would tell me like, well, man, if I was your age, I would have no fear, starting off, but so yeah, just listening to others give you encouragement. That's awesome too. Tim Ferriss has one of my mentors. He calls it fear setting. I highly recommend it to anyone that has, limiting beliefs or fear. Go watch that because that video really changed things for me.
What was that video again, Dario?
It was called Fear Setting by Tim Ferriss. Just a short little video.
Awesome. I'll be sure to link that, so anybody can go and check it out. And what you said there about like working in the construction field and still, having hesitation of like knowing, but like what you might get yourself into, right? And I think that's going to be reassuring to a lot of people listening because you don't really know everything ever, right? and I always tell myself that it's like you won't know everything, so get into it and learn, right? Don't just try to learn everything first and then get into it, right? Because you won't be able to learn everything. Even if somebody's working in the construction field all his life, is still having these kind of thoughts like, hey, I don't know what's behind this drywall. What am I getting myself into? Right. And so for anyone that's kind of like on that fence, on that has that fear, learn enough to get, overcome that fear or get comfortable, but B, don't let knowing everything stop you. Right. Because you won't ever know everything, even after years, of investing, or Dario, right? Like you still are having those thoughts. Right. And I feel like people, even 10, 15 years later, still think, hey, I don't know everything just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. One other thing too that helped me too was just thinking of other fears that are worse than, say like one of my biggest fears is having to work till I was like 80. I was completely convinced that that was my path that I was going to end up doing. So that I'm more scared of that than messing up in a real estate deal. And like I said, leveraging other people's knowledge and having mentors will eliminate a lot of fear, because now you have knowledge. Knowledge overpowers fear. And once you put it into action and you see that knowledge kept you out of harm's way, you'll do it again and again.
Yeah, 100%. And, finding a mentor is huge. Finding other local investors is huge, right? You might be nervous to go and ask a mentor, if they have the time of day for you, or a question you might not want to sound dumb. But if you have a fellow investor who's, right alongside you, who's kind of going through the same things, it's a little bit more approachable maybe, right? So it's always key to build your network, start connecting with people in the space. So, after like kind of overcoming that fear and getting through that first deal, right? Like how's that helped you, right? Has that helped you kind of overcome that fear and move forward past it, if you will?
Well, once I moved past that point of fear, I realized that I needed to continue conquering more of my fears. So, buying that turnkey was, in the grand scheme of things, relatively simple. I obviously I was still scared to do it, but once I did it, I realized it wasn't that difficult. So I had to look for what the next difficult thing was for me. And that was investing locally, because one of my limiting beliefs was the area that I live in is too expensive to invest in, right?
Yeah,
That is,
100%.
yeah, that's also one of the reasons that I went and looked in Memphis, right? And I still look out there because I like the cash flow. But I've said, okay, I know I can do this pretty much anywhere, so I'm definitely going to do it in my backyard. And one of my biggest fears was making offers on properties that weren't already turnkey. Like I said, I wasn't worried what's behind the drywall, or what's going to happen with this, that, and the other. There's so many questions. So yeah, that was the next move there. Start
Yeah,
looking for deals locally.
100%. Yeah, and I think in our last conversation, you're telling me that you've been really hustling and trying to find a deal in your local backyard, and you came across one recently, right?
Yeah, this one was actually one that I told my parents that I wanted to invest in real estate, and so I told them I was just looking for ugly houses, right? And they were walking around. My mom and dad sent me the address to this house, and I called this guy, and it was a really quick, like less than 2-minute conversation, but he said he was interested in selling, and then he ghosted me for like, I don't know, like over 6 months, almost a year. But I just kept following up, and then finally he answered, and he was like, yeah, he was like, I apologize, I've been going through all this insurance nightmare stuff. The house had a water pipe burst and all this stuff. He's like, but I'm ready to move forward. And even then, it still took some time. But yeah, I ended up getting that first off-market property under contract. And when I walked the property, I was like, oh man, this is a lot for me, but I had already talked about the property with other investors, and I was, I felt good about what I was going to offer. I just didn't know if I was going to be able to get at that price point. So that's another thing I was scared of too. Like, offering, what seems to me be like, oh man, this is like a ridiculously, I don't think anyone's ever going to go for that. So, I mean, you never know. You just got to make your offer and see what happens.
Exactly, 100%, right? And that's it feels weird at first, right, to make such a low offer, or be like, who would even go for this, right? Like you said, but one of the things you said there, and it's follow up, right? The key is in the follow up. Fortune's in the follow up, because 6 months, right? 6 months it took you to even reach this guy. He wasn't even talking to you, right? Like but you kept on, you kept on and kept on, because at a later point, circumstances had changed, right? So that's so important. Everybody gives up, and after they don't hear back a few times, that's it. They stop trying, right? So just keep on trying. So how did that deal play out? What's your it was too much work, for you to take on, but is there did you end up doing it? Did you end up what ended up happening with it?
Yeah, so actually the offer that I made the seller or the owner was $20,000 under what he owed on his mortgage. So he agreed to just bring that to the table to get the property off his plate, which, sharing that with, other investors, they're like, uh, I guess it's not too common for sellers want to come, especially $20,000 out of their own pocket to get rid of this property. But yeah, I ended up joint venturing with a flipper. Again, like I said, leveraging other people's knowledge and expertise, because I didn't want to get into something that I wouldn't be able to complete, right? And also I saw a lot of value in learning from someone else's experience. And, I've developed a mind of abundance, right? So this other flipper, Gannett in Alaska, who I'm partnering with, get to share some profit with her. I get to keep some profit with myself. We all win, and I get to learn, which to me is more valuable than money itself.
Wow, that's truly amazing. And you know what? A few things you mentioned there, right? Is abundance mentality. That's huge, right? And the opposite is scarcity mentality. So abundance is just, there's more deals out there. There's enough money to go around, right? We can learn and we can grow more and more, rather than thinking that everyone just there's not enough, right? So that's key. And I know it's one of those things that it gets talked about, but really having that mindset shift is huge, right? So you found a local fix and flipper, sounds like, partnered up with them, and now you're going to learn on this fix and flip, right? Where it's like maybe somebody who's a little bit further along, maybe they do bigger projects, and now you get to see the behind the scenes, right? And so that is key. That is literally how you can grow and partner with people, is you brought something of value, you brought the deal, right? And it's a good deal. And then that person, that JV partner, has a team that they have, or they do the projects, they have experience, right? So put those together and you can all of a sudden do more deals that you maybe wouldn't be comfortable doing yourself, right? So that's amazing, Dario. Now I'm excited to see how it turns out. I know you guys are you kind of just closed on it, right? So it's fresh and new.
Yeah, it took like I said, I mean, just to start the conversation took over 6 months, and then it took a while after that to close it, just because of communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, it literally I worked on that one for over a year, because the communication was like here and there. So yeah, we pulled it through.
100%, 100%. Well, yeah, for the rest of this year, besides this fix and flip, right, where I'm sure you're going to learn a ton, what else are you working on? What else are your goals for 2022?
Continue learning. I started to focus more heavily on finding off-market deals. Actually, just recently closed on my first wholesale deal as well, with another person that I JV'd here locally too, Jonathan Megazzo. He helped me out with that. Again, that abundance mentality. It was something that I'd never done before. I gave half the profits to this other investor, and he showed me how to take a wholesale deal to the finish line. And the advantage to that was that the end buyer, the investor, had a professional experience that, would have been my first time doing it, but now partnered up with someone else. It was just seamless. So it was great. So I'm going to ramp up marketing, focus on the wholesaling so I can pile more money back into rentals. That's my goal. I want to be, I want to have that cash flow just replace my income. And also, I'm setting up a corporate housing unit here in Fredericksburg, trying to invest in my own backyard. So that's what I'm working on currently. Just to grow my portfolio locally, keep on investing in Memphis and wholesale to generate more capital, and also share those good deals with local investors. I can't keep them all. So yeah.
Love it. That abundance mentality, man. It's amazing. And 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing, right? So it's like
Absolutely.
you'd rather partner up and to get 50% of the profits than not be able to do a deal or by yourself, right? So 100% agree, man. And so for anybody wants to come out and add value to you, right? Like what are you kind of looking for right now in your business if somebody wants to come and help out?
So I'm trying to automate this wholesaling side of things, because I'm just moonlighting it, pretty much doing everything myself. So that's not 100% efficient. So yeah, I'm trying to learn how to use VAs, and I'm already dabbling in learning how to do that. And also, I think at some point I could definitely use a business coach of some sort, accountability coach, because I like having goals, and having someone hold you accountable to those goals. I think it's very valuable. Yeah.
It's huge, changes everything, because once you have somebody else who's looking after you, you start actually taking action, because now you need to live up to it, right? So it's huge. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, for anybody that wants to come and like connect with you, right? What's the best way for them to reach you?
You can find me on Instagram. It's Invest Like a Dro, or on Facebook, Dario J. Cruz. You can also send me an email at dariobuysHouses@gmail.com. And I'm always eager to talk to anyone, and share, the little that I know, and just to encourage anyone to get into real estate. I love encouraging others to get into this business.
Love it. Thank you so much, Dario. And for anyone that wants to connect, reach out. Dario's amazing. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's just being humble right now. So definitely reach out to him. He's amazing. So thank you again, brother. I appreciate you coming on and talking about your story.
No, thank you so much, Samir. It's been great. Thank you.
Take care now.